The darkness felt alive, filled with his silent, terrible promise. I squeezed my wrist, feeling the mark's heat intensify, burning deep into my skin. I prayed he would leave me, prayed for safety. But the shadows only grew darker, surrounding me. When dawn finally came, I couldn't shake the sense that he was still there, hiding just beyond my sight. I could feel him, waiting. That morning, I went back to the elder. My hands shook as I told him what I had felt in the dark, the mark that burned, the whisper that filled my room. The elder listened, silent and grave, before telling me something that made my blood run cold. The prince was never meant to die, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. But he was betrayed, cast out of life and cast to the shadows. There are some who say he cannot rest until his spirit finds peace or revenge. I could feel the weight of his words pressing down on me. My mind reeled as I remembered the rumors I'd heard about the prince, that he'd been a powerful man, feared and respected. But if he had been betrayed, why was he haunting me? There's more to it, the elder continued. The prince, he once desired something deeply, something he could never have. Some say it was this unfulfilled desire that bound his spirit to this world. I swallowed, my heart pounding. Could it be that he was after me because I reminded him of someone from his past? Or was it something darker? As I left the elder's home, strange things started happening. Shadows seemed to linger longer, even under the bright sun. And the mark on my wrist would burn without warning, the pain sharp and sudden, as if he was trying to reach me from wherever he was. By the third day, my family started noticing. My mother took my hand and looked closely at my wrist, where the mark had turned an angry red. She tried to hide her fear, but I could see it in her eyes. Then, on the fourth night, something happened that I can hardly explain. I woke to the sound of faint whispers, just outside my window. I crept out of bed, heart pounding, and peeked outside. There, in the shadows, I saw a figure, a tall, dark shape that seemed to blend with the night itself. And though I couldn't make out his face, I knew it was him. His voice was a low, chilling murmur that seemed to flow through the walls. "You cannot run from me," he whispered. "You are bound to me, as I am bound to the shadows." I stumbled back, the mark on my wrist burning like fire. I felt trapped, like he was all around me, closing in. Desperate, I grabbed a small mirror on my dresser, holding it up as if it could protect me. And then I saw it, his reflection in the glass, his face twisted with a cold, relentless hunger. But in his eyes, I saw something else too, a flicker of pain, of loss, as though he was haunted by something he couldn't reach. "What do you want?" I whispered, my voice barely a breath. "Why won't you leave me alone?" His expression shifted, his eyes narrowing as if he was weighing my question. Then, for a brief moment, the shadows seemed to waver, and I thought he might disappear. But instead, he leaned closer, his voice like ice. "You remind me of her, of what I lost." My heart raced. Ah! Was there someone in his past, someone he had loved, or maybe someone who had betrayed him? The elder's words echoed in my mind, the prince was betrayed. But before I could ask more, he vanished into the shadows, leaving only the cold, empty night around me. I was left trembling, the mark on my wrist pulsing as if it had a heartbeat of its own. As I sank back onto my bed, a terrible realization washed over me. The prince wasn't just haunting me. He was trying to make me his, to claim something he had been denied in life. And no matter where I ran or how far I tried to hide, he would always be there, in the shadows, waiting. The elder's words returned to haunt me. He cannot rest until his spirit finds peace or revenge. But what kind of peace could I give to a prince who was cursed to walk in shadows? And if it was revenge he wanted, would he ever stop haunting me? As dawn broke, I knew one thing. I couldn't run from him. The more I tried, the closer he would come. And I was beginning to fear there might be no escape.